nice to be able to review police department. Nonetheless,
like everybody can lock their doors, and I was wide open.
The county is done with
I don't know, I wasn't there. I had a NBA game. He got pictures and stuff. I keep saying everybody says that, I'm like, don't say it.
That's all.
Yeah, that's what I'm glad.
We jumped too late. They're always
How are you? Are you still working hard? Well, he said he didn't say which, but I figured it was. He just told me. Well, that must mean he would know the people around the corner. Because he started at Anderson. He was on the Accenture side. Oh, yeah. Cornelius. Yeah. Just thought I'd ask. I'm really glad you're still on the phone. Oh my gosh. Well, this summer we got and I started paying attention. And I've got maybe a dozen things that are just which is my next I time for change. Well, this seems like
Oh, you know what I want you to have?
I just read film makes people feel
And they turned to beat up myself. And then
You know, I went to the Pennsylvania. Remember, I was a widow for a long time.
Too much time.
How's Juliet? Did she finish her PhD?
Yes.
Oh, and where does she live?
They have places that have us.
And how old's her daughter? Yeah, yikes. Did she get married?
Does she get older?
Well, as they should be. Not Juliet, the other.
It's an eye-opening thing. And we're on.
I know, I can't.
Christine.
Okay.
They bought in, what's the golf course?
Oh, Bird Hills.
Yeah.
I get kudos over and that's what I think.
Black Hawk.
Blackhawk.
Yeah.
So they bought it.
Nice. Good for him.
I wish I knew all.
What do you think, Michael?
I don't know. What do you think? Oh, yeah.
Jack and Dad.
I know, right, right. Where's Tracy? Okay.
When it gets warm.
So you're the treasurer? I just don't want to be a
If I can have everyone's attention, we're gonna reconvene the meeting. Do we have any additional public comments for tonight? Does anyone need to bring them forward? Have you got the right standard? Good evening again, welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Village of Hampton Hills to order. March 21st, 2023. What do we have time-wise, someone?
7:38.
7:38. Okay. If we can have a roll call, please.
Trustee Capel? Present. Trustee George?
Present.
Trustee McKelvey?
Here.
Trustee Millette? Trustee Muncy?
Here.
Trustee White Eagle?
Here.
We have a quorum?
Okay. Do we have a quorum?
President.
Here. Like before, we have Trustee Millette off on business, actually municipal business. I'd like to entertain a motion to invite him into this meeting.
I would like to motion to invite him.
Trustee Capel and Trustee Nancy. Okay. Roll call, please, on that.
Trustee Capel?
Aye.
Trustee Muncy? Aye. Trustee George?
Aye.
Trustee McKelvey?
Aye.
Trustee White Eagle?
Aye.
That motion carries. Mr. Millette, are you live with us? Okay. You are on business and not at a hockey game, correct? All right, sounds good. If everyone would rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I see we have a number of public comments here. If you would read them off and we'll begin.
Holly Burrow.
All right, I'm here tonight to follow up on the topic of the Freedom of Information Act again. I'm still awaiting a reply from the village regarding a March 6th FOIA that has still gone unanswered, even after the village has received a letter from the Assistant Attorney General's office in regards to my request for review. That FOIA read, I would like to request copies of all letters to and from the Public Access Counselor since May of 2019. I would also like to request copies of invoices and supporting documentation from Montana and Welsh related to the Larson and Countywide account. I would also like to request a copy of the clerk Vanessa Quayle's recent resignation letter. I'm still not understanding why this is not being fulfilled, so I decided to place a FOIA with the Attorney General's office to at least receive that portion of that FOIA. I guess I'll see who gives it to me first. Another resident recently FOIA'd who here at the Village Hall has their FOIA certification. Surprisingly to me, only the admin and deputy clerk do. I believe the village should make a policy that all board members be properly trained. It's a simple, easy class. In addition, I was surprised to see tonight's agenda not include any action being taken regarding the vacant clerk position. This is confusing because we have our new clerk, Tracy Johnson, ready and willing to take the position 6 weeks early. I would also like to mention that I noticed the president's recent video on YouTube was taken down. Yesterday's community counts include a link to it, but it is now dead. I have now sent in a FOIA to recover this video and am awaiting that fulfillment. I previously brought to the board's attention that often there are missing attachments or minutes or on minutes or agendas. The minutes before you tonight of the February 21st meeting say that there are attachments included, but no attachments are to be found. The March 7th meeting minutes in tonight's agenda packet also say that there are attachments included, but those are not there either. Another thing on tonight's agenda that stands out to me is under consent agenda A. It only mentions approving the March 7th minutes, but the administration included the January 24th, and the February 21st minutes as well. It's unfortunate that those minutes can't be approved tonight because of this error. Finally, at the last meeting, I provided my public comment in writing to the deputy clerk, and it is not included in the minutes from the March 7th meeting. I would like that included in the public record, please. I am also providing my public comment tonight in writing to the deputy clerk, and I ask publicly that it is included in tonight's minutes. Thank you.
Tim Morgan.
I defer my 3 minutes to Patsy Smith.
Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
I would like to respond to some comments made by both the village president and the village attorney at the village board meeting last month. Attorney Morton stated after my public comments about the flawed zoning ordinance that the section I cited was the incorrect section of the municipal code when it comes to passing an amendment to a zoning ordinance, and that the section I referred to was for an initial zoning ordinance, not an amendment to the zoning ordinance, and that all the proper procedures were followed. Today, I provide you evidence and testimony from Ken Shepra, who is a recognized expert on municipal zoning. Related to his opinion, the zoning ordinance adopted by the village is fatally flawed and that the proper procedures were not followed. I'll post this opinion on what's happening in Campton Hills and provide you with a copy of the opinion for the public record. Mr. Morton, look at the adopted zoning ordinance. The third whereas states, in accordance with 65 ILCS 511.13.2, that is the correct section for adopting a new ordinance. Plus, 9 times the adopted ordinance refers to the new ordinance, not an amended ordinance. Plus, read section 4. The corporate authorities deleted the previous ordinance in its entirety and adopted in its place the new zoning ordinance. That's not an amendment. Oh, and by the way, the state also requires corporate authorities to publish no later than March 31st of each year a map clearly showing the existing zoning uses, divisions, restrictions, regulations, and classifications of such municipality for the preceding calendar year. This is yet another indication that this board has no respect for the municipal code and does not understand the need to follow the principles of Dillon's rule. Zoning attorney Ken Shopro's conclusion in his opinion later states, 1, Ordinance O-2301 was invalidly adopted because the village did not follow the procedures explicitly required by section 1113.2 of the municipal code for adoption of a new zoning ordinance. Number 2, the village is not entitled to rely on any other provision of Division 13 because the ordinance repeatedly predicates the action of the village, which explicitly repealed and deleted in its entirety the existing ordinance and purports to adopt a new ordinance. Both the repeated references to the term new ordinance and the explicit reliance on section 1113.2 in the new ordinance makes clear that the village board did not intend to merely amend the regulations and districts of the old ordinance. The failure of the village to adopt a new zoning map renders the new zoning ordinance unenforceable. Mr. Shepro was the Special Assistant State's Attorney for the Kane County Board at the time the village incorporated and worked with Village Attorney Braithwaite on the adoption of the village's first zoning ordinance. Ken also successfully prevented the dense inland development proposed for what is now Prairie Lakes and successfully defended the judgment against Inland on appeal. President Terrell made the point that statements I made were without evidence or testimony. President Terrell also stated that the last 5 to 6 public comments I made were half-baked and twisted. I disagree. The village must follow the applicable laws, and I still strongly believe the village improperly operated regarding the following. 1, you neglected to appoint a qualified village clerk. Both clerks resigned and did not abandon their office, which is once again an issue after Clerk Quayle's resignation that is being ignored by President Terrell. 2, has not lived up to the terms of the Campton Township Highway District that expired 7/3/21/22. Improperly wheeled and dealed behind closed doors and violated a standing motion without ratifying the action at a public meeting. 4, approved a fatally flawed zoning ordinance that is not enforceable. 5, didn't follow the Open Meeting Act notice requirements when they started hosting the village board meetings at Village Hall. 6, continually ignores the Freedom of Information Act requirement to respond in a timely manner. I have 3, actually 4, if you include the one from last July, FOIAs that are outstanding, and have filed a complaint with the Public Access Counselor, so expect to hear from them soon. An employee was fired without any evidence she acknowledged receipt of the policy she was charged with violating. 8, the village continues to rack up legal fees related to a stormwater issue that is rumored to have been resolved when a culvert on Beath Road was cleaned out. And then there is the missing agenda and meeting minutes on the village website. Someone needs to repost the March 1st, 2022 agenda and board packet, as well as the January 18th, February 1st, February 15th, March 1st minutes. There have been 5 meetings in 2023 before tonight's meeting, and there are only 2 sets of minutes posted today. Not that transparent, is it? Thank you. And I'll provide you my comments and the opinion of Mr. Shepro.
Charlie Griffey?
Hey, what did I just say?
Yep.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all you guys for all the hard
hard work and everything you're doing for us and accomplishments we had this year. I read these things that they hand out of talking about community involvement and stuff like that we have done. Well, you know, I know we had community involvement because we got 6 committees, almost 30 residents serve on those committees. We had our Winterfest, we had our National Night Out, we have a certified response team, we got farmer market, where residents can come down and sell their produce or whatever they want to make down. Our president comes down and sets the table, has coffee with them, asks for their input and their comments that they would like to make to try to resolve stuff. You know, our president was called up because we had new culverts put in our subdivision and the gravel was getting knocked away when the cars went through it. He actually personally came out, stood next to one of the residents that complains a lot, and filled those ditches back with the gravel that was knocked out by himself. He didn't call the highway department down to do it and stuff like that. You know, you talk about, we got a certified response team. You know, we cooperate and participate with Elburn, our police department. We have a citizens police academy. We have the officers going out and playing ball with the kids and that to try to get the kids in the neighborhoods involved. But the only thing I come down here and I listen to rhetoric constantly about how we can make things worse instead of how things have been made better. And I guess, you know, I'm just going to touch briefly on the zoning. You know, they're talking about how bad the zoning was and everything. If you would have pushed through what the zoning committee had put out there for you to do, but no, you didn't do that. You guys listened to hours and hours and hours of debate, back and forth from the residents, complaining what they should do. They can't feed their families, they don't have enough chickens. Okay, well, you gave them enough chickens to feed their family. You gave them the ability to have 2 horses on an acre and a quarter, which they could never have before. You gave them sheep, you gave them goats, but people still aren't happy. So I have no idea, you know, what's wrong. But then I hear this thing that Charlie Griffey's just a mouthpiece for this committee. You guys don't tell me what to say. You know, I speak my own mind. And really, if the candidates that are running now, if you guys don't distance yourself from this rhetoric that's going on right now, you're not going to be in there. And if you do you really want to be in there? But that's all I got to say. But thank you again.
Jim Piazza?
How about it? EY, not just Y. E.
First of all, I'd like to personally thank each board member. Thank you, Trustee Muncy, Trustee George, Trustee Millette, Trustee White Eagle, Trustee Mike Millette in Washington, Trustee Capel, President Terrell, Denise, and Dory. I've been at Campton Township resident for 37 years. My wife and I love living in Campton Hills and raising a family here. I attended my first board meeting back in 2007. To be honest, I wasn't particularly happy about Campton Hills being formed and did not think we needed a police department, as many residents didn't. But I did not realize how fast our community was going to grow. Looking back, I'm glad we became a township, a small, peaceful, semi-rural community with an outstanding police department run by Chief Millard and his officers. My friend and neighbor, Charlie Griffey, and I have been religiously coming to village meetings for about 3 years or so, which is more than I can say for most people who have recently showed up for their own personal agenda. During that period, we have sat back and listened to criticism, negative and rude comments from the public. In 3 years, I've only made one public comment in regard to RVs. I stood in front of the board unafraid of those so-called scary individuals who are supposedly unapproachable, respectfully asked them if my RV was in compliance with village ordinance of being legally parked on my driveway, given the dimensions I provided to them. I did not berate them or falsely accuse them of telling me I could not park my RV in my driveway. I gathered facts and information from the board and did my best to comply with the village ordinance. Case closed. For the past few months, Charlie and I have sat in these meetings and witnessed the board members' integrity and transparency challenged by public comments. I am embarrassed as how the public has treated the board members with their false accusations, incorrect information, which has mostly come from public comments, in past meetings and more so from social media forums such as what's happening in Campton Hills, in which Kristen LeBlanc is the administrator, who runs a censor forum, which I'm certain that last comment will be edited. But I highly recommend the board for their composure and not being intimidated by the vulgar actions of residents. I would also like to thank our village attorney, Brian Morton, for correcting any accurate information brought on by public comments, reassuring the board's transparency. We're tired of all the negativity that is brought to these meetings. In my assessment, I've come to realize that people are moving out of here at Campton Hills are moving here for the wrong reasons, thinking they can do whatever they please on their property without any regard to their neighbor. If people want farm animals, go buy 5 acres or more, go visit Brookfield Zoo. Most of Campton Hills, the residential community, is not green acres. So again, I commend the board for holding firm on their decisions that have been made regarding zoning for the good of the community and for the residents who value their property. Board members, I want you to know, I think I speak for Charlie, that you have our full support and look forward to having you back as a whole on April 5th. Thanks for your time and for what you're doing.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments?
No, we'll pass it.
I'll close the public comment section. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Again, it's an omnibus vote for which there is no discussion. It is a vote for both items unless a trustee wishes to remove an item. Trustee Muncy.
I wish to remove item 4A, please.
4A, okay. Anyone wish to do the same for B? Is that good? With that, I'll take a motion for the approval of item B, which is warrant list 23-17. Trustee White Eagle.
Second.
Trustee George. If we can call the roll.
Trustee White Eagle.
Aye.
Trustee George.
Aye.
Trustee Capel.
Aye.
Trustee Kelly.
Aye.
Trustee Millette.
Trustee Millette.
Trustee Millette, are you still there?
Trustee Muncy. Aye. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. We are back to 4A, motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 7th, 2023. Mr. Muncy, you pulled that one.
Correct. I just had one clerical error or comment. One of the public comments actually spoke to this too. Back in February, there was a set of minutes that did not include public comment slips. I had mentioned that in our last, or actually 2 meetings ago. This one's the same. Item 4 indicates public comment slips are attached. They just weren't attached. That's all. It should be attached.
All right.
If I may also add, I think what's been referred to here is there were 2 sets of minutes which are in the packet. They were approved last time, and these are courtesy copies showing the corrections made at the last meeting as amended. So those were approved at prior meetings, so it's only March 7th. All right, any other comments, questions, etc.? All right, if I can, I'll take a motion for approval. Trustee McKelvey.
Second.
Trustee Muncy. Since it's a separate agenda item, any additional discussion? If there is none, clerk will call the roll, please.
Trustee McKelvey.
Aye.
Trustee Muncy.
Aye.
Trustee George.
Aye.
Trustee White Eagle.
Aye.
Trustee Capel.
Aye.
Trustee Millette.
Trustee Millette? Aye, okay. He has us on mute because of the background noise. All right, motion carries. We move on to item 5, the department reports. Please, you were up first, Chief.
Thank you, sir. I'll do it quickly. I know we're running behind. Our statistics to date for the month of February, we did 18 vehicle accidents. The majority of those were from the ice storm that we had. None of them in a similar location. They were all in different spots. We did have 145 calls for services. The officers wrote 89 state citations. Majority of those were for speeding. I think 46 of the 89 were for speeding, so that continues to be a problem not only in our town but everywhere, in which is 2 officers on the road at one time answering calls. I think they're doing a very good job out there trying to keep our streets safe. We also had 30 incidents. Out of those incidents, let's see, we had 2 domestics, 2 visitation problems, One missing person, which I'm happy to say again, was located quickly with the use of our drone and canine together. As you recall, we got a drone to be used mainly for the use of reconstructing accidents and DUIs, but we do have the ability to use it in emergency situations, and a missing child to us was an emergency situation, so we were able to locate that child very quickly, about a half a mile away from the house. We also had 18 road conditions. Not sure I'm happy about it, but our officers are also lumberjacks. During the time of our ice storms, we had several trees down on major roads. We had purchased them some battery-operated saws, and they removed 9 trees to open up roadways, therefore not bringing out township because they were busy as it was. We also had the use of CERT on several of those to block roads. Therefore, we didn't need to call in more officers for overtime because roads were completely blocked because of down wires and because of trees. We had a suicidal subject, which happy to say, working with Kane County State's Attorney, we were able to get that person some needed help, and that is working hand in hand very well. Rather than arresting them and not getting help in hospitals, between the sheriff and the state's attorney, they have several programs that we're using now to help people that are having mental problems. We had 11 animal complaints. I feel like we're doing Noah's Ark. We had 2 cows, we had 2 raccoon calls, we had coyote calls, we had a skunk call, and we had 5 dog calls. So we were kind of the gambit of a lot of different animals this month, and we also had 2 dog bites. Just highlighting some of the things that the department did this past month. Again, we had CERT called out several times. We also did a meeting with, or a grooming with Elburn. They did a... Disaster. Thank you. I'm trying to think of my brain is, what's it called? Emergency Operation Plan, thank you, which I know we're falling back on and we're going to work on ours, but they did a tabletop exercise for Emergency Operation Plan. We had 12 of our citizens helping out in the CERT role, and myself and my commander were able to stand by and observe and help out, therefore helping all of us. I sat down with our village administrator. We are going to hold our own this fall. We are lacking a lot, so we need to get back on track, and a lot of that is me. It has not been updated since 2011. Many of the phone numbers and people to contact are out of date. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next couple months. We did have, as was stated, Kids for Cops basketball game with 90 grade school kids playing 9 of my officers. Happy to say none of my officers got hurt. Some of them can't move their arms or legs, but they're doing okay. But I've heard a lot of good praise and had some emails from parents expressing how happy they were about that. Our $103,000 grant that Officer Hatt put together, worked very diligently with the help of our village administrator, Trustee Andori, has finally hit our banks. The money is there. We are just waiting for the stuff to get here, so we've been invoiced and sent it out. So we're hoping it's going to get here for our Citizens Police Academy to use. This is a mandate that we'll use it for. We have to do a simulated situation, shooting drills, verbal judo. We used to have to go somewhere and pay a lot of money to rent the place, and then all of our officers on overtime. Having it here for free is going to be nice because we won't have to pay somebody. Our guys can do it on duty rather than overtime, and we'll be able to bring in some local departments to work with us, therefore helping us train with them if something ever did happen, we're not on different pages. So we're hoping that's going to be up soon. As soon as the company ships it to us. They originally said anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Officer Hatt really pushed them hard, and now we're within 6 weeks, so we're crossing our fingers. So that is there. I know we're working on 2 or 3 other grants. One of the grants that I feel is important is 2 years ago, this board allowed us to get our body cameras ahead of time for the safety of our officers and our citizens. That $30,000 grant that we received was taken back because the body camera people that sold it to us did not have the parts because of the chip situation, so we lost that grant. Officer Hatt is in the process now of redoing another one, and it's for $26,000, so it's a little less, but we hopefully will get that back. And I know we're working on a couple others, including trying to find a grant for our tornado siren, which is extremely needed. We do have a contract or a verbal contract with the school district to use their property at Verhage Fields to put it, so that'll save us some areas and time and possibly use their electric for it. So with all that said, we have a lot coming up and a lot happening, but everybody is healthy and all the officers are happy, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Chief?
One brief question. I noticed you had two speeding that were greater than 35 over the limit and two street racing. Is that two drivers in one incident, or are these separate things?
Those are two different incidents. Two of them, drag racing, were two attorneys. They were both arrested, and the 235 overs, one, believe it or not, was an 82-year-old lady. We got her some help, and the other one was a young kid.
Anyone else for the chief? If I could, I'd like to underscore part of your report, and for the general public, the ice storm. I was in touch with Road Commissioner Gallucci, and very next morning, and came to understand that there were 80 plus trees or branches that shut down roads, and that's a major task. So to your officers who came, helped, thank you. To the CERT team who went out and managed, I understood in talking, Kim, to you and a couple of others, some of you were out on the street until the wee hours of the morning, helping direct traffic or keeping people from dangerous areas. So to the CERT team, thank you.
5 a.m.
5 a.m. Well, that's the wee hours. Yeah. Some of us used to in college days went to bed about that hour, but that's in college. And congratulations, I know it was a big hurdle. There was a lot of roadblocks getting that simulator in place, and it's nice to know the check has been deposited. So thank you to Officer Hatt. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Good evening. For February, we are 83%. We are 83% through fiscal year as of February 28th. Our revenues are over 100% as of February 28th. For several reasons. I think many of them were alluded to in the budget presentation. Primarily building permits is at 125% of budget because of the amount of activity that's gone on in the village this past year. The other thing I'd like to highlight is the state shared revenues. You may have also heard the governor talking about it on the news several times. They've upped their estimates several times over the past year, and they're on a June 30th fiscal year. So here's hoping that the economy's chugging along enough that those income tax receipts come through, because that's what we rely on primarily. On the expense side, we are at 76% of budget, with individual departments anywhere between 59% and 106%. The one department that is over budget is the building and zoning department. And again, because the activity has exceeded on the revenue side, one could expect on those services that we contract for, inspections and so forth, are also going to be over budget. With motor fuel tax, we've received 92% of our budget, $511,000, and the village has spent $183,000. And as was alluded to in the budget, that's because the road program did not go through this past year. Road and bridge is pretty much at very close to 100%, both on the revenue and the expense side. And then finally, with capital projects, we've spent, as of February 28th, $790,300. Most of that, of course, is on the Village Hall improvement, at $710,000, but, we did have one police vehicle at $50,450, with the second one coming in March. So obviously that number will increase by about $43,000. And then finally, slightly less than $24,000 on IT infrastructure. If anybody has any questions, I would be happy to try and answer them.
No, any questions from the board? Ari, thank you, that was a good report, appreciate the detail. Building and zoning.
Right, so the February building and zoning report, we had 14 permits issued, 3 submitted, 2 were completed. The building department though has been, we're doing a lot of activity. We just hired a new code enforcement officer part-time. He's coming in strong, and he's a retired police officer and has a lot of skills in this area, so we're very happy to have him on board. We did some training in Cassell, and we're looking at our software system, and we're working on revising some of our whole permit process and software that goes along with it, how we do our fees schedule and things like that. So a lot of things happening in the building department.
Any questions from the board? Having none? Thank you very much, appreciate the report. All right, we move on to action items 6A, motion to approve resolution R 23-06, approving the janitorial services contract for fiscal year 23-24, not to exceed $10,200. Trustee McKelvey.
Second.
Trustee White Eagle. Any comments, questions, discussion? All right, as it's an expense, we'll take a roll call.
Trustee McKelvey?
Aye.
Trustee White Eagle?
Aye.
Trustee Capel?
Aye.
Trustee George?
Aye.
Trustee Muncy?
Aye.
And Trustee Millette?
Trustee Millette? Aye. We have a unanimous motion carries. All right, open discussion, item 7, current discussion items, update on the MFT bid schedule.
Yes, I heard from our village engineer this morning, Scott Marquardt, that IDOT approved the documents this morning. And it'll be advertised on Thursday, and the bid opening will be Monday, April 3rd at 10 a.m. So he will be here on April 4th to provide an update on the bids.
Okay, any comments? Village Hall open house.
Yes, just an announcement, we're going to have an open house here on Saturday, April 1st from 10 to noon.
You get 9 to noon here.
Oh, supposed to be 10 to noon, sorry.
Here on the agenda.
Yeah, it's 10 to noon, just clarification. So we're inviting, the residents, will have some light refreshments and just give tours of the new facilities. So we invite you all to come.
Is there anything else from the board for purposes of discussion at this point in time?
I don't know if it's a discussion item or an additional information item, but I prepared a statement I'd like to read about the zoning ordinance that was passed recently.
I think that'll fall under this category.
Okay. So I appreciate your indulgence, thank you. There's been a lot of statements made recently about the zoning ordinance, and there's been some made some tonight. First of all, I'd like to say that for those of you that were a part of this, some of the statements that have been made, such as, which I just kind of taken aback by things like the board has no respect for municipal code. Things like that are completely false and untrue. We have the highest respect for the municipal code. We're trying to do everything we can. We work with our village attorney, and we respect and expect our village attorney to give us that legal advice. We are not attorneys. If there is a valid legal argument against something that we have done that's brought to the village, we will definitely look into that. However, to say things that are defamatory and accusatory against the board, I think it's just completely unnecessary. Worked very hard to make sure that this thing was passed correctly, and if it was not, then we'll look into it. That's fine, and we'll ask ask our village attorney, and we'll ask other resources if necessary. But to accuse us of that, I think is completely wrong. The other thing is, some of the statements that have been going on about the ordinance itself, not how it was passed, but what is contained in the ordinance. That's what I really like to speak to. So upon incorporation, and this is the statement, this will be available, Denise and I spoke about this earlier, this will be posted on the village website, correct? Okay, so this will be available and include citations as well. Upon incorporation in 2007, the Village of Camden Hills adopted the Kane County Zoning Ordinance 0.07.14. This ordinance was in effect and enforceable in the unincorporated areas of Kane County before the village was incorporated. The village continued to use it as the applicable zoning ordinance after the village was incorporated. We've always had a zoning ordinance. In 2023, the Village of Camden Hills completed a multi-year project to update our zoning ordinance to be more specific to our community. Much of the 2007 Kane County zoning language was retained in the 2023 zoning, but some aspects were changed and updated to better reflect our community's mission and vision. There are some folks making public statements that the 2023 zoning was a power grab or creating homeowner association type rules, that it's village micromanagement, that the village didn't listen to residents, or that there are a lot of new rules. These non-specific scare tactic statements are not well researched. They're not backed up with any specific references or information, and I don't find any evidence or truth in any of them. On the other hand, the following changes incorporated in the 2023 zoning are completely verifiable. The first one is in section 8.3H under chicken keeping. Our 2023 zoning permits the keeping of chickens on lots as small as 10,000 square feet, where our previously adopted Kane County zoning required a minimum of 1 acre to keep any poultry, rabbits, or any other small animals. While our 2023 zoning starts with 4 and 6 chickens on lots under 1.25 acres, for lots over 1.25 acres, it permits more chickens per lot than just about any other municipality in Kane County, other than maybe Barrington Hills. However, in Barrington Hills, as stated on the village website, and I quote, the majority of parcels are 5 acres and larger, unquote. So this really isn't a fair comparison. Our 2023 zoning permits small chicken coops without counting them as an accessory structure and without requiring a building permit, where this was not permitted under our previous zoning. The result of this section, concerning chickens, our 2023 zoning permits the keeping of chickens on properties under 1 acre, but the previous zoning did not allow this. And our 2023 zoning makes it easier to have a small chicken coop. On properties of 1.25 acres and larger, our 2023 zoning allows for more chickens than just about any other chicken zoning regulation in our area. Fences, 8.3J. The 2023 zoning removed the 3.5-foot maximum height for front yard fences created in 2009 by village ordinance. And it replaced it with a more commonly available and common sense 4-foot and up to 52-inch fence height. The 2023 zoning also removed the 2009 corral fence definition and requirement in its entirety in order to allow residents the freedom to choose suitable fence alternatives at a much lower cost. The result when it comes to fences, our 2023 zoning allows residents more freedom of choice, economical alternatives, and common sense solutions than were available under the previous zoning and village ordinance. Livestock section 8.3M. Our 2023 zoning permits the keeping of livestock, including horses, full of miniature-sized donkeys, mules, alpacas, llamas, sheep, goats, rabbits, guinea pigs, and poultry, in addition to chickens, and it permits this on property starting at 1.25 acres. Our previously adopted Kane County zoning permitted small animals and poultry on similar properties, but the keeping of large animals and horses was only stated to be permitted on properties of 5 acres and larger in the F and F1 districts. The result, our 2023 zoning permits the keeping of more types of livestock animals than our previous zoning allowed, and makes it clear that this is permitted on smaller parcels than those listed in our previous zoning. Section 9.9, storage of commercial vehicles. Under the adopted Kane County zoning, residents could not park or store any truck or commercial vehicle rated in excess of a 3/4-ton truck on their residential property. The 2023 zoning increased the rating up to a 1-ton truck or commercial vehicle to accommodate today's large pickup and work trucks that our residents may use. The result, in our 2023 zoning, residents can park larger trucks and commercial vehicles than they could under the previous zoning. 9.1, storage of recreational vehicles, which includes boats, campers, trailers, motorhomes, etc. Under the adopted Kane County zoning, residents were required to park or store any boat, camper, trailer, motorhome, or other recreational vehicle behind required setback lines, and recreational vehicles were not allowed to be occupied. The 2023 zoning permits recreational vehicles to be parked or stored behind the front building line or on the residential driveway, and it permits short-term occupancy. The result, under 2023 zoning, our residents can continue to store and park their recreational vehicles on their property and in their driveway, and they can allow children, grandchildren, and guests to sleep over for a short stay in the RV, which was not allowed under our previous zoning. 8.3L, home-based businesses. For home-based businesses, our previous zoning from Kane County including restrictions on teaching more than one student or counseling more than one person at a time, having more than one barber or salon share, and how many vehicles can be parked on the property. In addition, our previous zoning from Kane County specifically prohibited retail business, where our 2023 zoning does not. As long as pickups and deliveries involve normal passenger vehicles or parcel or letter carrier services, and they don't create greater than normal traffic for a residential area, home-based retail business is allowed within our 2023 zoning. Home-based business is conducted in residential areas, so the primary purpose or quote-unquote principal use of the property is to be a residence, not a business. Many activities, even like research and development, are allowed in home-based businesses as long as they're not the principal use of the property, and they don't involve hazardous or toxic substances. Our 2023 zoning removed many restrictions on home-based businesses and kept only those restrictions that would prevent traffic, health and safety, and nuisance issues beyond what would normally be present in a residential area. The result, our 2023 zoning continues to allow residents to successfully run home-based businesses, even light retail, while respecting the character of their residential areas and with less restrictions than they were subject to under our previous zoning. These are just some of the areas where our village listened to residents and updated our 2023 zoning to make it better suited to our community, and in many cases less restrictive than our previous zoning. However, if you live in a neighborhood that has an HOA or other more extensive restrictions, those stay in place, and the 2023 zoning does not change that. Is the 2023 zoning perfect? No, it's not. It needs to consider balancing the needs of all of our residents, our businesses, the environment, and our community as a whole. Are there opportunities for improvement and further discussion? Sure, yes, I agree that there are. However, does the 2023 zoning update our previous zoning and in many cases make it less restrictive, provide more freedoms, and better reflect our village's mission and vision? Yes, I believe it does. Administrator Bertrand, like I said, the administrator has agreed to post this statement on the village website, so anybody who would like to see it along with its references, it'll be available there, or you can contact the village administrator by phone or by email. They'll happily answer any questions you may have, as will I. Thank you, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, statements from the board? I would, if I may, thank you very much for that, add to some comments that seem to question our attorney, our village attorney, who is strong in municipal law, but the whole zoning process was begun under Ansel Glink. And under Ansel Glink, I think there would be few who know them by reputation. They are the go-to people when it comes to municipal law. So it's not just an attorney, it's two attorneys for this zoning process, both well recognized, but Ansel Glink writes the book. So I'll leave that comment. Anything else from the board? All right. Do we have any additional information? Okay. No parking lot. Do we have a reason to be going to closed session? I'm not aware. Okay. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Oh.
Second.
All right. So moved, Mr. Millette and Trustee White-Eagle.
Second.
Yeah, let's get back to it.
I think he did.
Trustee Millette?
If we need a roll call, we can do both. Oh, because it's roll. Yes, roll call, please.
Trustee Millette? Trustee White-Eagle?
Aye.
Trustee Capel?
Aye.
Trustee Muncy? Aye. Trustee George?
Aye.
Trustee McCollum?
Motion is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your participation in government. Thank you. Yeah, he's there with the National Water. Oh, no. He's there on.
Good. Good to see you. I haven't been by your commission.